What's up, man?
What's going on? Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes,
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Had a little workout. I'm ready to talk about goals. I was fired up yesterday. It's a topic I'm very passionate about, so this should be a good discussion. Hopefully.
Welcome to Game Plans Episode 2, everyone. Thanks for everyone that listened over the last month or so, the last episode. We have 85 downloads on YouTube.
I feel like the clips we're doing, those are good, and it allows you to get a little quick snippet of just stuff we're discussing and things we're talking about. So I think those look really nice too.
Thanks, man. AI has been helpful in setting all that up for me. I found a great tool that helps me make those reels super easy.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, let's see, we have 12 subscribers on our YouTube so far, over 8 hours of listening time. Like I said, we have 85 downloads, which is big for a first episode. I'm thrilled and excited to get episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2, we're talking about goals, talking about 2023 accomplishments and challenges, and then setting our goals for 2024, saying them out loud, sharing them with each other and whoever might be kind enough to listen to us. So I'm excited to vocalize that and work towards it in 2024.
Same man. I feel like it's a good thing to talk about.
Let's hit him with the intro.
You would have something. Where's it? What was that?
I got a custom VTech and Rough 10 jersey.
Nice.
In honor of the crew and me celebrating 10 years in the business.
Nice.
Yeah, this past week was 10 years, and I wanted to do something fun to celebrate it. I'm going to have some more reels and stuff coming out.
Sure.
But I was looking up some stuff about a week ago and found an email where I joined VTech and Rough 10 years ago. Sent Marilyn and Jeff an email saying I was humbly accepting the opportunity to work for them.
That's cool. It's cool you were able to find that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had it sort of buried and it just popped into my email magically. But I knew that was sort of coming. But to be able to find that and then share it back with them was a fun thing. So excited to talk today about our goals. Thanks everyone for joining. Anyone that's listening or has listened to episode 1, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys taking the time. Want to remind everyone to like and subscribe, comment. All that helps us get it out to other people. In the future, we want to do some fun things, share local businesses, interview local entrepreneurs, and anything you guys can do to help us share that message is really important. Thank you all for listening and checking out us on YouTube, Instagram. So let's get into the meat and bones 2023 year in review. Really what we're going to talk about from 2023 perspective is successes and things that we want to improve on, things that maybe didn't work out exactly the way we wanted to, or we see opportunity for growth beyond what we did into 2024. So Steve, let's start with you. Love to highlight what your personal achievements are, professional achievements. If you could talk about that for me, let me know what you did.
Yeah, man. The industry that we're in, obviously, for a lot of people, 2023 was tough, right? Like, rates at one point got up to 8%. Stuff all over the place. So, and just like taking the time to reflect on the year, it was, it was a successful year for me. I was, business wise, I kind of track everything off of units. I know some people look at volume, but I go more closely off of units. I know if I hit, a certain number of units, the volume number will just be there, right? So I don't really pay that close of attention to that, because I can't really control that number a whole lot anyway, other than the units. But I was up actually 20% business wise year over year, which I know if you polled probably all the LOs in Columbus, there weren't a whole lot that were better this year than last year. So it was a good year.
Congrats.
Thanks. And there and there's just a lot of planning that goes into that. And like, as we dive into these goals further, I think one of the things when we get into our goals for next year and stuff that I wrote down is like not only setting the goals, but setting the action items, right? So like, you've got your goals, you've got your targets, but what are you going to do? What's that look like? What's the process look like day to day? And I like to reverse engineer things from the goal all the way back down to what I'm going to actually do every day. Like, what are the 5-6 action items every day that if I just do those every day, I don't really even have to watch the number that close. The number at the end of the year is just there. And if you want to push it, you push it. And that, again, trickles all the way down to just what your daily activity is. But just takeaways from 2023, I did, I'm going to hit my target number that I set for the year. I mean, I guess knock on wood, unless a couple deals fall out. You never know. Home inspections and stuff like that.
We have one together closing 2 weeks. So
yep, that one's good. I'm not worried about that one. I had one. It was a contingent situation, and they're having a hard time getting their house in contract. That one might fall apart. But some of the other stuff that I know I set out to do at the beginning of the year, I wanted to be a lot more active in terms of social media, creating content, doing the podcast, all those things. So all that stuff kind of fell in line. We hired our first LO this past year, which was good. Morgan's been a great fit. That's one of the things going into next year is being more aggressive recruiting wise. And I just keep looking. I'm not looking away. I keep looking at my notes. As far as personally from last year, I think it's very important for people who are out there, like whatever you're passionate about outside of work. I think you should have something that you're working towards, right? Like whatever that might be, however big or small that is. Where for me, I've got a lot of goals around golf, and people probably make fun of me, but that's fine. But I got down to Florida twice to work with Athletic Motion Golf, which was awesome.
And what is that exactly?
They're very prominent on YouTube. They've got like a few 100,000 followers on YouTube, but they're golf instructors. They use 3D software to try to help you with your swing. It's actually a really cool experience. You like go suit up like you're creating a video game. Like you've got the data points all over you. So it's what's really cool about it is as you work through things, you have a 3D avatar on a screen in front of you. And like a lot of things with golf, and I won't get too much in the weeds, but like there's certain things that you try to do, like moves that you try to make, and until you see it in 3D, you can't correlate what you think you're doing with what you're actually doing. So having that, like your improvement happens so quickly because you can be like, oh, that's what this actually means.
Exactly what you're doing wrong, right?
Yeah. There's no like guessing, because when you look at a golf swing on camera, like the video can be deceptive, because if you've got the camera at a certain angle or something, like it can kind of distort what you think you might be doing. But anyway, I got to do that twice this year, and it's helped immensely. And so that's been fun. But no, man, I mean,
are you better at golf? Are you any better at golf than you were?
Oh,
based
sure.
on that.
Good. For sure. The thing is like, it's hard. Like when it comes to golf, people are like, "Well, just go have fun," and I'm like, that's not my personality. Like, I'm very competitive. I played basketball in college, and then my junior year in college, after I had knee surgery, I had to quit playing. So from there, it just turned into like I needed to fill that competitive itch with something. And then for a while, I competed in bodybuilding, did CrossFit and Olympic lifting, then had a couple more knee surgeries after all of that, and then have been all in on golf. So that's kind of my thing that I've got big goals around outside of work, aside from family stuff. But all in all,
tell me about some of your family stuff.
It's been things. It was, when you're growing up and you hear your parents say things like, "We'll just wait till you have kids." And you're like, "Yeah, whatever, mom, whatever, dad." And then you do, and you're like, "Oh, well, no, it makes sense now." But stuff just happens so fast. Like, I can't believe Elliot's going to be 7 in a month, which just doesn't even seem real. So both my kids are in school now, first grade, kindergarten. Just watching them develop personalities it's cool. It's really cool. They're in a cool stage. They're 5 and 6, soon to be 7 and 6. And just watching them figure things out. It's fun and it's challenging too, because you want to, instill certain values in them and help them figure out the world and not be helicopter parent at the same managing that with your spouse and not wanting to choke each other in your sleep. But no, family wise, it's been a good year. Just it's more, I'm trying to enjoy that more instead of letting those things bring stress in my life, like just little stuff, like they do something that might piss you off and you let it ruin the next couple hours of your day. For me, I just try to remember that they're 5 and 6. Like, they don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenging piece that I'm working on as well. Is just being understanding of their learning process, right? And helping be a teacher rather than someone who scolds them for things they're doing wrong. Help them understand and work through what they're doing wrong, and not expect them to get it right the first time every time. So, and dealing with a toddler's emotions and a 4 and a 1-year-old's emotions as well, and not letting that emotion spill over to the way you act is always tough as well. So. Good. What's Elliot into right now? I know you've gotten him in a little bit into football this year.
He's way into football right now. I've showed you the video at the Christmas party, but he's got we're a Dallas Cowboys family. But he's got a helmet and he wears it through the house. He's carrying football through the house. He's got this, like, it looks like a practice jersey is what it looks like. And he'll just put it on, wear it everywhere, run through the house. He runs over. We've got like a big rug in our front door area, and that's the end zone. So he'll run over there and get a touchdown, spike the ball on the ground, and so he's real into football right now, football and soccer.
Good.
But and then Brooklyn, she's into gymnastics a lot.
Nice.
So that's kind of their two things. If my wife had her way, I feel like we'd take them to everything. I'm like, let's just slow down and pause on this a little bit. Like, once they get to middle school, we'll have plenty of time for all the things. But you want them to experience things and develop some fortitude, do things that challenge them, things that are difficult, learn how to work with others. I think there's a lot of value in doing athletics in general, whether you perform at a high level or not. I think as you get older, there's a lot of value in that.
Well, I think, one thing I'm seeing with my son is the communication and the working with other kids his age, sort of dealing with other kids his age, and how, he's really intuitive at 4 years old, and sort of looking at how the other kids act. And, he talks a lot about how the other kids act during, he's playing football right now, but soccer right now, but futsal, excuse me, is what it is. But he's playing futsal, and then he played t-ball, and he's definitely looking at, this kid was getting really upset, and this kid was understanding what was going on. He's really good at that, and it's really interesting to see through their eyes how maybe they're learning from other people's emotions how to act and how not to act. And I think that's
Right.
also really valuable as well.
100%. No, I agree.
Seeing it from his peers.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You what's also funny, just going back to the kid, just the kids, is as they start doing things, you start to realize, like, oh, I don't really want them hanging around some certain kids.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't know about you, but my kids, Elliot in particular, and probably a boy thing, he just gravitates to whoever the shithead is a lot of times. Slightly. But it's fine. That is that's always something that's a process with him more so than Brooklyn. He likes to be the center of attention. He likes to make people laugh, which is good sometimes, and other times not so good. He doesn't always know when to stop.
Yeah, you just have to sort of maybe rein him in when you have a chance, and who knows what they're doing at school, but hopefully they have good teachers who can focus on that as well, right?
Yeah. What about you, man? How'd your 2023 wind up?
Yeah, so like you said, 2023 was definitely a slower year from a production standpoint, but I'm really grateful for that in a lot of cases. It really gave me a chance to grow, build some things. For the time that I was working with Jeff and Marilyn, it was full steam ahead, no chance to breathe and figure things out. And then I went straight into fatherhood, and not only fatherhood, but then COVID, and working my way through that business and family dynamic and all of those things. 2023 was like about the first year that I felt like I had an opportunity to take a deep breath and focus on some things, some building blocks in my business that are on the back end. Some things that I wanted to implement, like building out a robust CRM, working on a ton of marketing pieces, from building a YouTube channel to doing some client events, building out my social media on in a number of different ways, stronger, and posting more there. All that has been a really great opportunity to be able to do that, and then continue to learn. One thing I focused on this year is I wanted to learn a new skill every single week. So I took the time after the kids went to bed and during the week, and sometimes, if I have a slow morning or whatever, focus on learning one piece of technology, one piece of marketing, one skill that I can use to grow out my business. And I've learned an extraordinary amount this year. Some of it was through YouTube, some of it was through training classes. I participated in almost 200 hours of different training classes. over the course of the year. So,
Wow.
yeah, and really it was about learning from other people, finding out what other people are doing successfully, and it's helped me grow tremendously and focus on the things that are important and build out some things so that when it gets busy again, I'm going to have some systems in place that'll make my life easier. I was able to work out more this year.
Okay.
Yeah, um, when I moved to Columbus, I was 205 pounds and I worked out a ton. 6'7", 205, and so skinny and probably too skinny, but worked my rear end off in the gym, and over the course of work being really busy and also then starting a family, that got away from me a bit. So being able to implement that back in the routine and lose some weight. Beginning of this past year, I hit 300 pounds. Scared the shit out of me in a way that it wasn't like it was a health scare in any real way, but I knew that being that weight would put a toll on my body over the course of time, and especially having two young boys, being able to move around and chase after them, play sports with them would be harder at that weight, especially with my size, and I didn't want that to weigh on my longevity and cause a number of problems. So lost 30 pounds this year.
It's a lot. Awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you. And in addition, put on a ton of muscle. So that, while scale weight is important, being able to build out a body that can do a variety of things and feel more healthy, I think I've really worked on that a ton. I'm really proud of that and want to continue that into next year. Purchased our second rental property with the help of you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your help on that, doing the loan for us. And that's something that we want to continue to grow on our investment portfolio and find new ways to get streams of income. So bought our second rental in Marion Village. Then I think, in October of 2022, we had our second son, Preston, who's turned 1 this year. And that whole piece presented another bit of challenge in just raising a kid through the first year of life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been fantastic, and he's been a whole bunch of fun. And I feel like now that we've gotten through some of the hard stuff, I've had the opportunity to focus a little bit more on business, because I really didn't get to work that hard until about March of this past year, when he got into 2023, once he got into daycare. So
sure.
We were sort of surviving, and then in February of 2023, we had a time where he was not in daycare, but we both had to work full time.
Mm-hmm.
Monique was back to work.
I remember you telling me about that.
It was insanity. And so I'm excited for a full year of 2024 where I can just grind and be focused on work when I'm focused on work, and then be able to have fun with my family when it's time to have fun with my family. And
sure.
So, I guess what we want to hear is from anyone that listens. I'd love for you guys to comment and let us know how your 2023 went, things that you had successes and failures. I think it's important to just put them out in the world and share with people, and be able to verbalize it, admit things that were difficult and things that weren't. I think for me this year, doing about 75% of the production I did the year before. I think that's less than ideal, but I know that I have the systems in place to not only do better in the future, draw more business in, but be able to really provide value to those people that are building out a business or bringing me business in 2024. I also hired a transaction coordinator, which she's been fantastic this year. And I know you've worked with her a little bit, Emily, but
Awesome.
yeah. And having somebody that can be an additional value provider for the client, be really organized and connect with everyone involved during the transaction has allowed me to focus on the high level stuff that's involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on remedy, focus on having those important conversations through the transaction and answering the real estate questions for the client as they navigate through it, but then allow her to have really great systems in place with that have the nitty-gritty details, coordinating utilities, earnest money, talking to the lender, making sure they're on track, sending out calendar invites for all the important events through the process. She's built out the fantastic system, and I'm really happy to have integrated her into my business. So let's move on to 2024.
Yeah, man.
I'm super excited to hear what you have as your goals for 2024.
I got a lot. So as we get into this, I think I interrupted you. I'm sorry, but like,
no, go ahead.
We've had private conversations a lot, and goals are something I'm very passionate about. Goals, motivational stuff, mindset, all of that. And I feel like, doing it publicly, I feel like goals in general are a way for accountability. So if you don't want to be held accountable, I think you need to take a look in the mirror, regardless of what you're doing, whether that's work, personal, professional, whatever that looks like, right? Even if it's something that's like, I'm going to stop partying 3 days a week or whatever, whatever that looks like. There's a sense of accountability that goes into goals. And I know we had a discussion yesterday in text message when you sent me the graphic and it, had the SMART goals. And I said, mine are just and there's probably people that disagree with this, and that's fine. But when I go to set goals, and I don't remember the entire acronym, but the A and R of SMART are achievable and reachable, right? Or attainable. Mm-hmm. And
attainable, yeah.
Attainable and I think reachable. Anyway, I have a very different mindset when it comes to goals. And I think that comes from a separate mindset of as it relates to failure. So a lot of people don't, I feel, set goals in general because they're afraid to fail. If I set this goal and I don't hit it, I failed. And I think that's bullshit. That is a defense mechanism, so you don't even start. The only failure to me is just no action, right? I don't believe that you can set a goal too high, because if you don't hit it, like what your definition of failure is likely what you think someone's going to think of you if you don't hit a target you set. And that's, right. I could care less what somebody, thinks about my goal or target or hitting it. Like that doesn't matter. So that's, not to get too deep, but that's kind of my general mindset around goals. So when I probably even more so for personal life than professionals, like things that I'm passionate about. Like I set somewhat uncomfortable goals for myself, right? And that's not to, brag or anything like that, but I feel like if you do that, you're going to push yourself further than if you set the bar lower. And I understand the psychology around like you want you want to be encouraged because you can hit it. But I feel like that mindset means that when you set a goal, the end all be all is hitting it. And it's not. If I set, a goal to increase my production by 200% this year, which I didn't set it that high, but, and I don't hit it, but if I work to hit 200, maybe I hit 100%, maybe
right.
If I feel like, okay, I'm going to increase my production 10% this year. I mean, that's going to have an impact on your effort level throughout the year, in my opinion. But not to get off on a sidetrack. But like production wise, again, I monitor everything off of units. I want to increase production 30% this year for myself, unit wise, not taking into account any changes market wise with refinances. And I think that's important. If you're a loan officer listening to this, to me, I look at refinance business as just bonus deals, right? Like, not that I don't care about them, but like that's not what a sustainable business model as a loan officer is built around is refinances. It's just not, because rates are going to go up, down, all over the place. Market dynamics change. So
that's out of your control.
It's out of your control, right? So to build a business around that, you're just setting yourself up to have to ride the wave all the time. When rates are low, you'll do a bunch of business. When rates are high, you're going to be calling realtors trying to ask for business that you haven't talked to in years. So I just don't know that that's a sustainable way to operate. So for me, when I look at my production, it's like I want to assume the worst for rates, and that's how I prefer to operate. And if rates drop to 5% and we have a refi boom, then cool. That's just extra spend money, I guess.
Yeah, and there's still going to be transactions happening with traditional real estate. So it's how do you get those transactions versus the by chance, the macro economics deals, right?
Yeah, and for me as an LO from a production standpoint, like being the owner of the company, I mean I do produce at what I feel is a pretty good number. I think comparatively to other local LOs or what have you. I don't with running the company and doing other things like there's other things that go into that as opposed to my personal production, but I still try to crush numbers, at least for what I think. And I would say on a normal market, during COVID and everything was kind of crazy because you did have all those refis and rates were 2%. And 2020, I closed 200 deals myself, which is a lot of volume for one person with just me and an assistant, right? That's a lot of stuff to handle. So like on a normal year, it's probably 120, 21, I did 150 deals. I would like to cruise around 130, which is what I set my target for this year. And then what I did was break that down into, okay, it's this many based off average loan size, that's this many deals a month. Then that's, I need to do 3 pre-approvals every week based on pull through. Takes some people a weekend to find a house, takes some people 8 months to find a house. And, then I'll get into all my action items here in a minute. Most of my professional goals are company focused as opposed to my own production focus.
Right.
That's kind of the next growth phase for me, professionally speaking. I've got a fairly decent book of business. Not that I don't want to add to it. I always want to add to it, but that's just not my main focus. I'd like to bring 3 loan officers on by the end of Q1. So like I've done a lot more content recently around, recruiting and things like that, and misnomers, misconceptions of, and we could do a whole nother podcast on this, but recruiting tactics, people, like I did a video yesterday. I've talked to a lot of LOs and companies are offering them money and trying to express and explain to them that like, that's not free money. Like this sign-on bonus is not a bonus. That's not like you have a clawback period. So by definition, it is not a bonus. It's a loan.
Right. It's in advance, right?
It's yes, exactly. So it's not a bonus.
And I'm sure some people are willing to, like, as tough as 2023 was for some people, that can be enticing, right?
It can be very enticing, and I think the thought premise behind it is in understanding the economics of originations and how much revenue is generated on a deal. You look at somebody's production, and then you see the bonus you get, and you're like, yeah, this math doesn't math. But so to me, as I start thinking, reflecting on it, it's like, okay, what's happening here is, I think, this is my opinion, that a lot of companies see, okay, I think rates in the next couple of years are going to dip. So I'm going to pay this person now, even though their production doesn't warrant this money. I'm going to have a 2-3 year agreement where they've got to stay, and then they're going to be stuck. When rates come down, you're kind of buying their business ahead of time. That's my opinion. Could be wrong, but
that makes sense. Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I think we are seeing in the market that some people are expecting rates to dip in Q1 and then definitely by Q2 of next year. So you and I both know that that's going to kick the market in the ass, and we're going to see a lot of activity, especially in the spring, as markets, as the interest rates are going to be lower than they were
the
last maybe year, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then back to the goals. Last one for me professionally is for Morgan. We brought him here. I want to help him grow and increase his business by 25% this year. Investing into him and his success. So those are like the overarching themes, and then I've got a whole list of action items. And kind of what that looks like. And then when it comes to me and tracking goals, like, that's all I track are the action items. Like, as the year goes on, I'm not necessarily looking at, I want to do 130 deals is this much a month, and this month I did this many. Like, I don't even look at that really. I'm just looking at, okay, well, you know what, this week, as opposed to doing the IG content that I set out to do, I missed that by a couple posts.
Right.
That's what I'm tracking. Or, I wanted to set up X amount of meetings per week. I missed that number by 1 or 2. And that is more, those are the things that you're more in control of. And I think it's very important as you set out goals and pursue them, whether they're professionally, personally, whatever, is you can only control what you can control. The outcome, you don't have any say over the outcome. None whatsoever. So, like, getting caught up in that, the end result is you're just going to be banging your head on the wall.
Yeah, but I think what you're not expressing that I believe in, and I know that you believe in as well, is that it's building blocks. It's something where you are putting pieces in place that are adding to your value and adding to your business. That something I'm really focused on as well, and I think that those sort of habits, integrating new habits, integrating new pieces to your business, and then focusing on, one brick at a time, all of that is going to affect the outcome. So while you can't control the outcome, we're thankfully in entrepreneurship in a business where those bricks that we're adding can really build something that can affect the outcome and push towards a really positive outcome. So
100%. And that's why I like the daily action items, because those are the bricks, right? Like, you're laying the foundation. And if you, and I think a lot of times people also, I think I said this last time, I think a lot of people get hung up in the what, like, well, Steve, what exactly are you doing? I need to copy what you're doing. No, you don't need to copy anything. Just find whatever your action items need to be and just do them. 90% of it is
right to you.
actually doing it and being consistent every day, every week, and reflecting and being like, okay, well, I didn't, like one of the things I do is our CRM tells me every day whose birthday it is that day. First thing I do when I get in the office, I sit down, I go through Facebook, I go through my CRM, text everybody on their birthday, tell them happy birthday. Something small, but it's an easy way to stay in touch with past clients, right? It takes less than 5 minutes. It's a stupid easy task, but there are days like I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to do that today. But you hear coaches of like big time programs talk about just doing the little things every day. Those things over time amount to something, and you might text somebody today on their birthday, and then that just puts you on top of their mind, and then 6 months later they hear from somebody that needs something, and then they're like, oh, you need to call Brooks, you need to call Steve, and the only reason they referred you is because you texted them on their birthday.
So we just I just did this thing with my team. It's a class called Ninja Selling, and one of the main points that they focus on is staying in flow. Staying in flow with people means finding ways to create touch points that provide value, finding ways to connect with people that are non-selling points, non-selling touch points. And creating a situation where you can have conversations. Yeah. And conversations lead to transactions, referrals, and create business that is people that are interested in working with you.
Because you took an interest in them other than just the sale.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And you're not selling them. You're not taking that opportunity that you have FaceTime with them or reaching out to them to sell them anything.
Well, you meet with people in person a lot more than I do, right? So, but in conversation, you have discussion. Like I was talking to somebody on the phone the other day for a pre-approval, and they've got a kid in the background crying, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "I've got to this isn't going to bother me." But then you asking questions around like, "Oh, how old are your kids? What are they into?" And then
the Ford questions. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, "Oh yeah, my son Bobby, he plays soccer. He's got a match, next week." And then you send him a text message like, "Hey, how'd soccer go?" Or what, it could be something, simple as that, right? You remember the conversation that we had and actually took an interest in it, other than just like, can you make those kids be quiet so I can just get this done?
Yeah. So one of the interesting pieces that we focused on in not only Ninja Selling, but I've learned over the years is the conversion rate of leads, right? And the conversion rate of leads, Zillow lead converting to an actual sale is like 100 to 1. Yep. Finding slimy ways to get leads online is like 60, 100, 150 to 1, depending on what source it's coming from. When you get down to the referral level from a client or friend or whoever referring you the business, it's like 66%, just 66% conversion rate. And then, clients who you worked with in the past is like 75 plus. So that sort of referral business is, first of all, what I want to focus my business on. Sure. I want to spin my wheels way less on trying to pay money to Zillow or any of these other companies and making
things down. You're more interested in relational as opposed to transactional.
Yeah, 100 cold calls. I mean, one of the reasons I really love this business is because I get to connect with people and make new friends. Yep. And learn more about them. And then, I find real joy in going to a crew game with 22,000 people, and I'm walking through these crowds and I'm running into like 10, 15 people I know.
Yeah.
And some of them are from different parts of my life, but clients as well. And to be able to say hi to those people, I get joy out of that.
Sure.
And so then I would much rather focus on that piece than cold calling, sitting in my office and cold calling 50 people a day. That
terrible
is not why I got into the business at all, and not something that I want to do. I don't want to trick people into working with me, and I don't want to spend my time trying to make people want to work with me by any means necessary. I want to provide value and a genuine connection with people, and that's the way that I want to convert. And I think that will, the idea is that compounds upon itself.
Sure.
You get more referrals and can get more natural business. So
yeah, and that, it for me, like, there's two buckets for a loan officer in terms of, I guess there's a few, but two primary where you can get business from.
Sure.
You've got real estate agents, you've got past clients, right? And that relational piece of it, to, I guess, correlate what you were just talking about with, like, I guess our side of the street is, you've got LOs that will just grab a list of realtors and just start calling, right?
Texting for coffee.
Don't even get me started.
I knew I could get you there.
Yeah, this is like hits me in my core. But anyway, that relationship piece is so important, but people want to skip that because it takes longer. They want the quick fix, the quick sale, which I get it. You've got to make money. You've got to, do what you got to do. But at the same time, you've got to invest the time in people and get to know people, because, I've had conversations with Morgan about this and other loan officers at other companies. It's like, look, do you think, so you cold call a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
What is the probability that after one appointment, your coffee, that person is then going to turn around and send you the next deal that they get? Like, you're going to call them, you're going to meet them, you're going to get a
Really
deal.
low.
Bang, bang, bang. Very low,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, you know what? I'm glad you met with me. Whatever. I don't like the guy I'm working with. I don't have somebody I already work with. Like, that probability is low. And like, but let's say that scenario does play out.
Yep.
What's that loyalty to you look like? If they were you were able to just pick a number out of a phone book, essentially, call this person, get an appointment, and then they just switch their business to you.
That's tough.
You think you're the only person that's going to call them? What's to stop them from just switching to the next person that calls that just has a better pitch than you do?
The only way you can do that, is just to provide value during the transaction. But that's still, you're dealing with somebody that can be disloyal and obviously willing to jump around from person to person.
100%, and that's not sustainable. You're looking for sustainability,
right?
But anyway, but as far as professional goals, that's kind of where I'm at. For, like I said, for me, most of this is going to be more around, the company and building things up on that side. And I, for me, do take a genuine interest in helping other people grow their business and seeing them succeed, and helping, I think where I provide value for someone else, like as an employee, is helping you pull every piece of potential out of yourself that you can, whether that's through being encouraging, challenging you, whatever that might look like. I think, for me, I'm very picky about the people I work with as well, just simply because I know the type of personality that I am.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a lot.
What's going to be painful, right?
Growth isn't, when you cut back your hedges so they grow in spring, like you got to cut them back. Like there's a pruning process that happens, and you got to cut dead branch and you got to cut dead weight. And a lot of times with goals, going back to some of the things we were talking about earlier, that some people I think don't go down the path because they realize like, oh, I got to get rid of this, or I've got to cut this out, or I've got to stop doing this. And the luxuries and conveniences, they weigh you down. Or maybe you got to cut this person out of your life. That's somebody close to you. And it's, we'll start talking about personal growth. Like maybe there's somebody in your life, you just got to be like, hey, this person is a freaking anchor. And I'm going this way, they're going that way. I got to cut them loose. And that's hard. It's hard.
It's hard, but you got to take a step back to take a step forward. I mean, remove some of that weight. It's like losing weight, right?
Yeah.
The more the weight you lose, the more capable you can become in a lot of cases. So, right.
100%.
So let's talk about individual, and let's talk about family for you first.
Oh, we're gonna go through. So for me, I'll go family before individual. This is probably for me the area. I'd be honest. I told myself before we were doing this pod episode, I was going to force myself to be a little more vulnerable when it comes to this, right? Like, cause I'm a pretty guarded person. Like I would say there's a lot of people probably meet me for the first time that might think I'm a dick because I don't say much. I'm kind of quiet and reserved. Like I feel like as a person, I'm just very observant. So I tend to be a little guarded, especially with meeting new people and, getting into these things. But for me, I would say from just the living life perspective, where I fall short the most is family. And I have a tendency to misprioritize things. I mean, being honest.
Is that because you're focused on, business and your growth there, you think? Yeah.
And, for me, it's either, I've got this for work I got to do, or I've got this personal goal that, I'm fully invested in, that I'm like, I need to do this.
I think that's a scary part of being a commission or based provider for your family.
I mean, something even as simple as like, if I go to the gym in the morning, I'm running over time on a workout, right?
Yeah.
And I know my wife's at home. She's got the kids. They're up. I've got my workout in front of me. I'm like, I have another set to get in. This is something people are going to be like, you're a psycho. But you're like, no, I need to get this other set in. And it's like, well, no, I need to get home and help. Like that one set, like that's something I struggle with, right? So then I'm, late getting back home 5-10 minutes. And then, the compound effect that has on your life over time. And then that bleeds into your work. So then, that happens, you get home, my wife's upset, or maybe not even upset, but just the interaction that you have is just not normal, right?
More stressed. Yeah.
It's a little more stressed. And then you get to the office and you're a little stressed, you're preoccupied. So then you know what, the first person you talk to on the phone that day, that's going to come out in your voice and how you handle things. You're going to be a little more testy. And all it really comes down to is just you're kind of out of whack. Or you've got to be able to compartmentalize things a little better. But for me, family stuff is where I
want to improve.
I want to improve there a lot. And I'm probably making it sound worse than what it is, but it's just where I kind of fall short more often. But for me,
it's just a strong feeling because it's something that you want to be better at, and that it's hard. I mean,
sure.
I deal with it on the same level. I think that's probably one of my bigger family things as well. Is being able to put down the phone and not be on the phone when I have my boys home from, let's say, 5 p.m. until, they're in bed, and it's, asleep by 8. So being more present during that time where I'm not on the phone is
have on here.
really hard, because, for me, my clients are often reaching out during that time if they don't have a family,
Mm-hmm.
or if their family is in a different place in their life. I would say that's probably a big window when I get a lot of communication in my direction.
Sure.
When they get off work, when they're
they just
on
had
their way
time
home,
to talk to their spouse about something. Like,
yeah, exactly right. And so it's definitely something that I struggle with as well. So I completely appreciate that, and want to find a way to balance it. One of the things that I'm doing is on my iPhone, I'm building out a you have do not disturb on your phone.
Sure.
But building out a family version of that, you can build custom do not disturbs.
Okay.
And so building out a custom do not disturb that allows for important stuff to filter its way through, but to set aside stuff so that when I turn that off, then I can get all the other rest of the information to flow to me, and take more opportunities to turn that on when I'm with my kids, so that I'm not getting notifications that take my attention away. Right.
100%.
So that's one of my goals for 2024 is to finish that, building that out in my spare time to make that a feature that I can integrate more often and be more present with them.
Sure.
Because I feel a level of stress to communicate well, just like you communicate quickly, promptly with my clients, and balancing that promptness with being with family is an ultimate challenge.
Sure.
For our business. So,
and one of the things, who actually said this to me, so it was actually Jeff who said this to me. This was
Mm-hmm.
been a few years ago now. We just happened to be having a discussion on, this topic of, family and work. And it's something I kind of struggle with, is you don't have to be Johnny on the spot for everybody. Like, if you're busy for an hour, so there's, generally speaking, unless it's like, hey, there's a closing that's happening right this second that needs something that needs addressed right this second, or I've got an answer about, for you, maybe like a remedy and it's due in an hour.
Deadline, right?
Other than that, there's nothing that has to happen right this second that can't wait 30 minutes. There's not. There just isn't. Everybody thinks there is, but there's not. There's nothing that can't wait 30 minutes. Can't wait an hour.
I'm slowly getting better and better at that, honestly.
He's like, I'm not on call 24/7. I don't expect you to be. I just expect you to set an expectation of when you are available, and that's fine. And I think there's a lot of people who have unrealistic expectations of others that they don't then have for themselves. That's part of it. And I think there's people that have created, this is me, a habit of being that for everyone. So now it's just the expectation. So everybody's like, I'll spend 10 minutes. Steve hasn't answered me yet. Like, what's going on?
That and between that and just the directness of text message.
Sure. Yeah.
And how quickly
right now
the expectation is to text message. I mean, that's something that I wrestle with so often is when I get a text message from a client, it's just leave it as read when you need to leave it as read, as read, and then go back to it.
Yep.
In certain situations. So.
Yep.
All right. So let's.
On the family front, I want to set time where I take just a day a week to get home early, and by early I mean like 4:00, right? So for me, like a typical day for myself, like I get up early, go to the gym, I take the kids to school, I leave the house at 8:00, and generally speaking, I don't get home until 6:30, 7 or later. So, I'm gone.
And when do the kids get home from school?
My wife usually picks them up at 3:30.
Okay.
So, once a week, one day, 4 o'clock, I'm going home just to see them when they get home, have some personal time. And like we were just talking about, put the phone down. For 2 hours. It can wait. Unless there's something that is actually pressing. That's the only thing I'm looking for. Otherwise, I don't care. And that's something for me that I'm working on. Then also is, aside from just the phone, is being mentally present. Like I've always got 100,000 things running through my head, right? Like I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about this deal, I'm thinking about my golf swing, I'm thinking about whatever it is. And, I'll be sitting talking to Tiff and the kids, and 5 minutes goes by and I'm like, they've been talking to me. I'm like, I've got about a recollection of the last 60 seconds. Other than that, I don't even know. And it's just being more present. I'm not distracted on my phone. I'm just the lights are on, but nobody's home.
The wheels are just turning on in a different direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just turning things off. So, family wise, that's another thing. And then also, not to get, not sappy, but just getting closer with my wife, right? Like, as you see parents, and maybe your parents are this way, but like as you get, I don't want to be the empty nesters. It's like, oh, I live with this person now. I feel like I got to get to know you all over again when the kids are 18 and leave the house.
That's really hard. I mean, I definitely want to lean on people that are farther through it, like you and whoever, because with a 1-year-old and then a kid who is 4, and then through COVID, we don't even have a babysitter. We use my parents occasionally, and that's very rare, but we don't have a true babysitter, and so we don't get a lot of time to spend together at all. We've been on a few dates since COVID.
Even when you do get the time, there's another thing that's hard, is like being intentional and not, like, say you get a date night with your wife, don't talk about it the whole time. You know what I mean? And that's hard, because that's, they become 90% of your life, really.
Right.
But being intentional and being like, okay, it's just us. We're going to talk about whatever, and we're not going to discuss the children. We're going to talk about us. And so that's something that, for me, I want to devote more attention to. What about you?
Well, let's start with professional. I mean, from a professional standpoint, I feel like I spent a lot of time working on technology and marketing in 2023, and I want to continue that. I learned an extraordinary amount, how to set up a podcast, for goodness sake. I think that's something really exciting for me, and creating something with this podcast so that we can provide value to people. Whether it's the small businesses we're talking to, or pointing out those businesses and to people that may listen to the podcast and or follow us on social media. Like and subscribe, by the way, but basically having an opportunity to continue to build on this that we're doing, bring on some new people in 2024, some guests, interview some people, learn more about, whether it's people that you have connections with or I have connections with. I definitely want to network with more people there, and then build out something with this that we have more listeners and can share with more people, share our business, share who we are as people, and provide value with some of the things we talk about as well. So I'm definitely interested in getting feedback from the people that do listen to the podcast and what you want to hear about, so that we can focus on not just our personal lives and our personal business, but how other people are growing and provide that value, so that other people can learn from us and learn from the guests that we bring on. So that's important. From my real estate business, I want to do 15 million in sales in 2024.
Okay.
The goal is to do that. I think the most I did was last year in 12 million.
Okay.
And I want to do 15 million, and in that, focus on building out organic business.
I'm writing yours.
Finding more ways to build client relationships. I want to do some more client parties, get touch points, and provide some different things that can provide value, like rent out a movie theater for families. A lot of my clients are families that have kids that are similar age.
Yep.
And so doing family photo shoots, some different things that are just extra value add and that bring me closer to those people that are referring me business that I'm working with. I think it is something that I really want to do more often in 2024. Additionally, learn some new technologies. I've been diving into AI, as you know, but one of the things that I think that it provides for me is an opportunity to do more and be more efficient. It's exciting to me to be more efficient. To be able to find ways to do all the things that I have in my head. I share with my team and with coworkers, with you, all these different ideas that I have that are ways that I see other people building up business or new ideas in things I want to focus on, and finding ways that I can be more efficient in everything that I do so that I can then touch on those growth opportunities and those new opportunities is something I'm really excited to learn more about, and AI is part of that for sure. Building out, whether it's integrations into my business, whether it's new tools that do automated stuff. And then, my CRM is a part of that as well. With joining Cutler, they have an amazing CRM that we use that is very much customized to our business. And the ninja piece of business, meaning providing touch points and adding value to clients and staying in flow. So I was not intentional with the CRM prior to Cutler and prior to 2023, and continuing to use that as a tool to stay in flow with people is something that I'm really excited to do. I've been doing email blasts with articles and events that we have going on with Beautech and Rock and myself. And then also, different things that are like how to, what favorite paint colors for the market are, and just little pieces like that. Mm-hmm. Our Beautech and Rough, we built out a newsletter in 2023 that we do on a monthly basis that provides market statistics for people. Yeah. To let people know what's going on and touch them once a month with a lot of industry knowledge, and so that they can stay focused on their investment is something that's pretty cool. So doing that, the other piece that I have worked on in 2023, I started my YouTube channel in 2023. That's my personal YouTube channel. We also have a game plans, pod, Instagram channels, so check both of them out. But focusing on building that out in a way that provides value and draws in new leads is something that I want to do as well. So what I'm going to do is build out tutorials, maybe some technology tutorials as well, because that's something that I have a deep understanding of and a passion for. But some client tutorials that we're in contract, what's next, how to go through an inspection process, parts of the real estate purchase contract, and understanding how to write a good offer, putting some of that stuff online and putting some of my knowledge out there so that people can not only learn who I am as a person through my YouTube channel and through my social media, and I can draw in people that know, like, and trust me, who I am as a person, be more drawn to me organically. I think that is something that I want to build out more of who Brooks Anderson's brand is on the internet. So building out my YouTube channel, I have 48 subscribers on that channel. This year I have, I think, 4,000 views of my channel as well. And so I want to triple that in 2024. So get to 12,000 views and at least 150 subscribers minimum. Then, in 2023, I sort of have developed more of a brand identity and focus on that. I think one of the things that I want to do is be more of a champion for small business. And so game plans is part of that. Spreading the knowledge of businesses here locally, people that are following their dreams and passions, and putting that into entrepreneurship is something that I have a deep respect for. And one of the reasons why I like working with you, Steve, and appreciate who you are as a person is your drive to go out there and build something of your own. That's what we do as real estate agents is build a small business.
Yeah.
It's not selling homes. It's not being in sales. If you're focused on that, you're going to be up and down type of agent. Like you said, I mean, it's same as the refi. You're going to get good business when the market's really good. And then when it's not, you're not going to be providing enough value to differentiate yourself as a person. So those are the things that I really want to focus on in 2024 from a professional standpoint. Mm-hmm. From an individual standpoint, I think that building another stream of income is really important to me. I don't know. There's a couple of things I have in the works that I can't really talk about yet, but some things that I want to focus on driving some additional income streams as well. Even buy another rental in 2024 as well if the opportunity presents itself. I'm a bit stingy as far as trying to find something, so it took me about a year from when I started focusing on it to find the right opportunity to make it work. But trying to find some other income streams and focusing on building out that so that I have more passive income is important. I think continuing to focus on my fitness goals as well. Losing another 20 pounds is the goal. Write that down.
I got it.
250 pounds. End of 2024. This next month and a half is going to be a slug because I'm spending 3.5 weeks in New Orleans. So, we talked about one step back to go forward. I may take a step back in that I'm gonna try to stay active down there. But we're going down there for Christmas, and then we're going down there for some time during Mardi Gras. So pray for me.
I'll do my.
I won't have access to the gym in my basement, but I'm gonna try to find some creative ways to be able to stay active down there and work out, go for some runs, and do some things down there that hopefully maybe I can just break even. That would be ideal. Right. They feed you very well down there, and certainly have a good time. So surviving that next month and then grinding through and staying consistent with my workout schedule in 2024 so that I can lose another 20 pounds and gain more strength and be able to be really active with my boys, I think is an important piece of that personal goal. So, and then when we talk about family, we touched on it really in our previous conversation is just being more present, having more one-on-one time with Monique and being able to go on a few more dates and be more consistent with that. Being able to be out of the house a little more, just the two of us, is something that we need an opportunity to do. I think that with a 1-year-old and a bad sleeper of a 1-year-old, having a feisty, he's very feisty to get to bed. And so we feel guilty sort of having anyone else put him to bed at this point right now. And we're getting closer to somewhere where we can, rely on somebody else to do that. But I don't know for the first year that is, let's say, generally possible for someone to be able to wrestle a really strong 1-year-old to bed, and do it in such a way that we wouldn't put additional stress on ourselves, just taking the opportunity to step outside and go on a date together.
Sure.
We've talked about how guilty we would feel passing that on to somebody else. So
yeah,
having more one-on-one time. We're going down to in January. We're going down to a family wedding in Naples, and we're dropping the kids in New Orleans, and then we are getting some time not only with family, but we're going to be at a resort, and we're going to take a little extra time to just be one-on-one together.
Cool.
We haven't taken a couples vacation since I think probably 2018. Just we've been in the thick of so many different things. Life. We haven't had that opportunity, and so just even having a couple days, maybe hours in between the family events, to be able to just focus on the two of us in somewhere that's new and exciting. Being down there in Naples at a resort, I think is going to be really fun, and I'm really looking forward to that too. So finding more opportunities like that is something that's important to me, important to my relationship with my wife, and
sure.
I think is going to help us be the best parents we can be as well. So
I like it.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add to that? I mean, if personally, what's
individually, for me, again, most of my pursuits outside of work and family revolve around, golf or fitness in some form or fashion. I this year would like to get my handicap into single digits. I've got much bigger long-term goals than that, but I'm just kind of working through things in phases. I'd like to get
where are you at now?
See, my handicap's a little skewed because I haven't logged rounds in the last couple of years. So if you look me up, my handicap's an 18, but I honestly don't know what my handicap is. I can't tell you the last time I logged around. It's probably been a couple of years anyway, but I'd like to get down to AMG twice again. I'm actually going down in April. I'd like to get this knee rehab. That's it's a long road to a hoe there. But yeah, that's a big thing. It's just being, for me, I injured it very young. And I've not been kind to my body. And, when I had these last surgeries in 2017, 2018, they were to prolong a knee replacement because I needed one then, but I was too young to get one. So I'm just trying to avoid that at all costs. Much like you, I'd like to create some other alternative income stream. I want to pursue more passions outside of work. Go all in on things, whatever they might be. Because for me, I would say professional success for the majority of the last probably 10 years has been the most important thing to me. And I, while that still is important, I don't want to be 50 years old and be like, I just wasted the last 15 years not chasing after any goals or callings that I feel like I've got to go after. I don't know. Like, I feel like you kind of get that voice inside of yourself that's like pushing you to, pursue something or go after something. And, sometimes it's uncomfortable because, again, you're going back to something we talked about earlier. Sometimes you got to give up something, sacrifice something here to do something else. And, you got a stranglehold on every piece of your life, and, pursuing passions outside of work is part of that. Right. Just pursuing fulfillment, right. Whatever that looks like, for everybody. And then for me, I think, like I said earlier, I set in my personal life very big goals for myself and things I want to accomplish. Like the knee rehab, like my actual goal with the knee rehab, I don't ever want to need a replacement, like ever. And a doctor would probably look at me and be like, you're an idiot. You need one. And I'm like, well, we'll find out. But I want to be more unapologetic. That might not even be the right word, about my goals and sharing them based on what somebody else might think.
Audacious and a little bit more ambitious, right?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I am ambitious, and sometimes, in conversations with someone, if that's a topic of discussion, like I might not share something just because I don't want to. Somebody's like, you want to do what? Why? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, ask my team members. I tell them just about every idea that I have. For me, it's about like vocalizing it in a way that allows me to feel accountable to them for what I have said out loud, right?
Yeah.
If I tell them I'm going to do something, if I tell them I'm going to do 10 things,
and
I don't do most of those 10 things,
somebody's going to say something.
Somebody's going to say something to me. And I don't even care if they do say something to me, if whatever. That's not the most important thing. It's about my expectations based on that.
Yeah.
And so I say it out loud a lot, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, is so that I could say it out loud and then look back on it at the end of 2024. We can do year in review, write down some of these things that we had in mind and hold ourselves accountable to that and say, well, shit, we didn't do that.
Yep.
We better make 2025 a hell of a lot better so that we can accomplish those things, because that's what we expect of ourselves.
Yeah, man. I
just to make that thing happen when we say it out loud, right?
Yeah, 100%. And for me, adopting more of that and just not caring, I guess. And I think a lot of that stems from probably, I would imagine most people struggle with this, is you don't want to have that like, it goes back to what I said earlier, like having big goals and sharing them. And then it all kind of at the root relates back to you thinking if you don't accomplish something, you're a failure, or maybe I've got the same goal as somebody else, but they got it faster than I did. So that must mean that I'm something, they're better than me or whatever. And you know, everybody's running their own race, right?
Yeah, everyone's running your race, and you know, they might have accomplished that one thing, Steve, faster than you did, but you might have done 5 other things that you're not accounting for when you're deadly focused on that thing that they accomplished.
Sure.
You might have accomplished 5 other things that they didn't accomplish, that are either personal, professional, whatever. You know, I learned through really hard times in my life that, you know, partially because I compared myself to other people, and some of the challenges that I had through the process, some of the setbacks I had didn't allow me to be on the same trajectory at times to people that I compared myself against.
Mm-hmm.
It could be where I started or where I was at the time in my life. I wasn't able to reflect what my goals were in the same way that other people that may have had a head start or may have had an easier path or whatever,
right,
were there. And I took that on really hard on myself internally, and through a lot of growth and through a lot of perspective and taking a step back a couple times in my life, I was able to understand that it didn't matter in that moment where other people were in comparison to me. It was mattered about what I was doing to get better, how I was getting better, and then the results that were happening over time. Because results were happening, I just wasn't appreciating those personal results as much as
sure,
I was negatively on myself for some of the things that I wanted,
mm-hmm,
that I wasn't able to attain for whatever reason. So, you know, I think that's really important, is
sure,
taking a more perspective in each thing that you're really focused on doing for yourself, and understanding that as long as you're working towards it and as long as you're focused on it, finding more ways to appreciate the success that you've had along the way, and some other maybe successes that you've had in other places as well. So,
yeah, that's the scary thing about comparison, right? You start comparing yourself or where you're at, and one, you don't know where somebody else is, you know. And I want to say, it was on I think it was Goggins' quote, is you'll never find a hater doing better than you. And you won't. And you won't. And it's having that level of, well, this is my goal, I'm going for it, I don't care what you think, you support it, whatever, don't care. Actually, I hope you don't. Because when I hit a rough patch, I'm gonna bring to recollection every single person that gave you that sideways look, that gave you that, sure, man, sounds good, have fun with that, whatever. You know, because whenever you've got aspirations, high aspirations, pursuits, whatever, you know, you're going to have people that look at you sideways. That's just how it goes, especially if you're sharing it, because most people, let's be honest, inherently are lazy. They don't, and they want the lazy person wants to bring you down, drag you down to their level, right?
Right.
Miserable. Right. I'm going to get very direct. They're miserable humans, and they want to drag you down in the pit with them, so that somebody else is going through the same misery because they're jealous of.
Yeah, if you're doing as bad as they are because they've, you know, found ways to nitpick at you.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, exactly. If they found ways to nitpick at you so that they feel like they're on your level, you know, that's a way for them to feel like they're better than they really are. And life's not about that. Life's about trying to find ways to better yourself from the positions that you have, and frankly, there's way too many nuances and different pieces of a person's life to really focus on one way that they've been successful and say that they're truly a better person than you for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
There's things that they may have sacrificed along the way that make their life more challenging, even based on their success, that you might not want to bring upon yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I would encourage anybody who is listening, whatever, goals you have for yourself, set them big, and don't worry about hitting them or not, go for it, right? Go for it. And that person that's in your life, whoever it is, that's trying to drag you down in the pit with them, cut them out. They got to go. In your pursuit of things, you're going to hit rough patches, right? Like success isn't immediate. Success isn't linear. You're all over the place. So set those goals big, go for it. And, for me, I'm very, I remember every little thing. Like if somebody says something sideways to me, I remember all of it. I write them down. I've got screenshots of text messages from people in my phone where I've, shared something that, I'm after, I'm working towards, and somebody just says something. I'm like, I'm going to grab that. Because there's going to come a day where the thing that they said to me is going to feel like it's happening.
Kobeing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, you're Kobeing right now.
Feel like it's happening, right? And I'm going to go back and look at that because there's, it's easy to, you get on social media and you see people and it seems like somebody's always motivated. They're always got, whatever going for them. And that's all bullshit. It's not. There's days where, my alarm goes off and I hit snooze twice and I don't want to get out of bed. But, it's finding those things, whatever it is for you, to, kick yourself in the ass, get out of bed, do whatever it is. Don't stare at your computer screen, when you're trying to create something, just do it. Take action. The only failure is doing nothing. That's it. Otherwise, there's, to me, failure. I think it's actually, I think Kobe said this in an interview, like, there's no such thing as failure. The only failure is not doing anything. Failure is not a real thing. So just realizing that, and if you set out to do something and you don't hit it, who cares? Who cares?
So for me, of course, I believe in those sort of Kobe, Jordan type value. Going after people in your own brain for things that they said weren't possible that you've accomplished. The other thing that I think about, with Ninja selling, one of the things that they preach is what you focus on grows bigger. So things that you want to accomplish, that you focus on, things that you write down, that you say out loud, that they teach you to write down a goal that you have 25 times every morning. Write it down every morning 25 times on a piece of paper. Pick one goal that you want. And it's like that. Hey, I'm looking at a new car. I'm looking at a, blue BMW. And you're like, I'd love to buy a blue BMW with black rims. Right. Well, then you go out and drive on the street and you see like 5 blue BMWs with black rims. And it just, all of a sudden you're like, God, I see so many more of those out there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't, why am I seeing more of those out there? Well, it's what you focus on grows.
Yeah.
And when you put your goals out there and when you focus on your goals, you find opportunities in small spaces, in little moments of your life when you don't want to hit, when you have the choice to hit the snooze button, when you have the choice to not work out, when you are in a conversation and somebody brings up an investment opportunity that maybe provides that opportunity for you, or when you have an opportunity to do, meet a new client or convert a new client, you're going to find those little opportunities because you're focused on that growth and growing that growth. Your brain is going to trick yourself into making those things happen.
Sure.
Your subconscious is going to trick yourself into making that happen. You know, they say that your subconscious can't take a joke. You know, it doesn't know when you're joking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you dream really big, when you have those huge dreams, you're tricking your brain into thinking that's a reality,
Mm-hmm.
or that that's possible. And so finding ways to make that possible is the goal. So,
yeah, manifestation is real. You know, you hear people, you know, very successful people that, you know, they just obsess over things, and you know, if you obsess over something,
that's how you make it happen.
And you work towards it, you're going to hit it 9 times out of 10 if you truly obsess over it and devote yourself to it. Like it's going to happen, you know, as long as it's physically attainable. Like I'm not going to grow to 7 feet anytime soon. But you know, if it's something that is actually, you know, that you're actually able to work at and you obsess over it, you absolutely can. I wholeheartedly, you know, believe in, you know, the power of obsession, manifestation, whatever you want. I know everybody calls it something different. You know, that thing that's in your mind 24/7, you know, that you can't get enough of, you know, whatever that might be.
So let's talk about upcoming episodes. You know, the goal moving forward. I think game plans is going to shift a little bit moving into 2024, and you know, this episode and beyond. I think future episodes we want to bring some people on.
Sure.
As we've talked about a number of times. Hopefully, the next episode we have a guest. I have some people in mind. I know how you have some people in mind. So I think we have one in mind that's going to be a big splash for our first episode. That is going to have a really interesting story. And, you know, I'm excited to bring people on.
Yeah.
Share some of our goals. I think in addition, we're going to talk a little bit about our personal business on a monthly basis, touch on that, and then bring some people on and find out what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm excited for the guests, and also excited to share, you know, business as we go, right? You know, you get on social media and everybody's posting their closings, their reviews, and how great everything is going, and they're doing this XYZ, and you know, some of that is real, and a lot of it's not. And sharing, nice cup, by the way.
Thanks, Covita Lending Cup.
Yeah, but you
check
know,
out Covita Lending.
But you know, sharing the rough patches and being realistic about things as well.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for listening. You know, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's going to help us grow this and turn it into something that's sustainable and something that we can build upon, bring in better guests, and please like and subscribe to our Instagram as well. For sure. Instagram is Game Plans Pod, at Game Plans Pod. So like and subscribe to that. I think that over the last month, we've done some reels that are more individual topics.
Yep.
And continuing to do that it is something that we're going to focus on. So make sure you check that out for little tidbits and some of the growth things along the way. See you in 2024. I know we'll talk between now and then quite a bit. Steve and I have a closing together in 2 weeks. So We've been working on a deal. It's been all wrapped up for some time. I mean, we have a great couple that's getting married this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already, you know, have all the steps in place. They've been in contract for let's say 3 weeks.
It's only been a little over a week.
Oh, okay. There you go. It felt like longer through the holidays, but
yeah.
They've been in contract for a little over a week, and everything's locked in. Inspections done. They can go on their vacation, their honeymoon, go on their wedding, and just come back, do the final walkthrough, and close. We've been able to put all the pieces together as a team to make it super easy, so we don't have to communicate with them while they're having fun and enjoying their wedding and honeymoon. So I'm really proud of that, and thank you for your partnership in that.
Yeah, man. For sure.
Make sure leave comments, like and subscribe. We want to hear about your goals. We want to hear about some ideas of who you want to bring on the podcast.
Sure.
Local businesses that are listeners and friends and people that are kind enough to take the time to listen to us on who you think we should bring on, local entrepreneurs that are trying to do something that they love to do. So we want to hear about their goals and what their plan is and ways that they're choosing to grow. So thank you all. Anything else you want to add, Steve?
No, like you said, share your goals, share, anything goal related, your motivations, all that stuff. It's all good. It's good to share best practices. There's always something somebody can take from somebody else. There's always a nugget out there. So, share your thoughts. You never know who it's going to help.
Yeah. And if you want to be on the podcast, if you want to be a guest as well, please DM us as well. We'd love to hear from you. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Game Pod's out.